First of all, I'm so excited to be back with you guys. The response that we've been getting has been really overwhelming. What do you think?
Truly.
So amazing.
I mean, DMs and different companies and Newsday and Long Island Business News. I mean, for the first one, we just had such an overwhelming response, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So we're so thankful to all of our friends and family who've shared this, and it's really special. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah.
My Uncle John, last person in the world that I would have thought would have shared this on social media. What does he care about menopause? Shared
Is
it.
he married?
Yeah, married, happily married. He was lucky. He always says he found love. And my aunt's the best. But like my Uncle John shared it.
That's
like,
amazing.
That's unbelievable. He's
How
so
old is he?
old school Italian. He's 70 something.
Oh my God.
And like that would be the last person I would think that would be like interested, and he is.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
He's proud
so
of
I
you.
think we've struck a chord with people.
Yeah.
That everyone can relate on some level.
Right. That's the God's honest truth. Everyone can relate on some level.
I agree
Whether
with
it's
that.
your children or your husband or, you know, your even, like you said, the parents and the uncles and the aunts. It's like half of the population of the world is going to go through this.
You know what I found really interesting, because I have 2 young daughters? I got so many DMs from young girls with questions. People are, you know, everyone's thinking about
what
like,
the hell's going to happen
what's
to
going to
me?
happen to
Yeah.
what's going to happen to me? And
Right.
some of them are concerned just because about the way they look, because I get a lot of those type, you know, of
Right,
messages.
in your business.
But in my business, but also, you know, I didn't know this, or, you know, what are the resources? You know, I think my mom has this. I think my mom, because there are still moms, I think, that are very old school and quiet about it.
Right.
So the 20-somethings are
They
like,
need
you know,
the conversation.
they need the
Yeah.
conversation, and some moms are still not talking
willing
about
to.
it.
And like we
Yes.
always say with every podcast, first of all, we're coming out with our podcast every other Monday, so we're calling it Menopause Monday. So the first and the second Monday of every month, there'll be a new drop. But like we always say, we are not experts. We are not doctors. We are
not.
girlfriends shooting the shit, sharing everything that we've experienced. So we want to make that perfectly clear
Right.
that, you know,
Yeah.
this is for entertainment purposes and for the conversation.
I tell all my clients all the time, this is not coming from a doctor, because people will tend to take advice from the internet or a podcast and, you know, consider it to be fact. So what we are sharing for us is fact. It's our fact. It's what's true for us, but
Right.
it doesn't mean that it would be
Right.
right
True for you.
for everyone or medical advice in any way.
Right. And what I love about the dynamics between the three of us is, you know, you come from an aesthetic, you know, 25, 30 years of, you know, aesthetics and making people look and feel beautiful if they choose to do that. I mean, you are the queen. And then you, with all your educational background and owning an institute, which, by the way, just got awarded #1 in the United States of America.
Thank you.
And it
You're
is the
so
best.
welcome. Like,
Thank you.
damn, girl.
Well deserved.
Feels really nice.
Well-deserved, right?
Well deserved.
And then you're also an advocate in Washington, D.C. Where the hell do I fit in? I don't even know. I have no idea.
You fit right in the middle.
I fit in the middle.
Right in the middle.
Yeah. You know, and I'm just, you know, where I fit in is coming from a place of complete, you know, to be honest with you, I come from, when I hear the word menopause in my mind, if I want to be completely honest, I hear ick. I hear ew, ugh. I hear, please don't say that to me. Don't refer to me as someone in menopause.
Right.
And we have to change that.
I agree. And you have a voice. You have a voice. I mean, people know you, and you have an outreach. And I think that's so tremendously important that you took those resources and really helped tie this together to put it out there for people.
Yeah.
You know, there are so
And
many people
your
that feel this
credibility
way.
is so far-reaching. So we're really happy that we were able to get into some publications that really matter here on Long Island. Long Island Business News is a really well-respected publication. Great people belong to the organization, Long Island Association, Long Island Business News. They work very closely together. The news outlets, like everybody in Long Island, I think this is pretty much fact. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. If you have a different carrier for your television programming, a lot of people try to stick with one that they could still have Channel 12 News. And Channel 12 News is interested, and Newsday, like
Right.
these are really powerful media outlets that have such a big distribution to various age groups.
Right.
And that's because of the relationships you've built. So we're really grateful for that.
Thank you guys. I really, what I think is funny about the dynamics of our group is that we don't ever say we're talking about this today.
Right. Because we really don't know what
we
we're
have
gonna
no
talk about.
notes. We don't go over anything.
Just roll into it.
Yeah. And that's what I love about you guys. I love that we can just chat, and hopefully in the future we can bring on some experts that have a lot more knowledge than us.
The
That's the
requests are
plan.
coming in. So
Yeah.
we're creating that list, and we're going to look at it really, really well and make a group decision, and of course vet everybody. Make sure that
Absolutely.
the people that we bring on are bringing really good information and accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Wait, guys. Remember I just told you I was having a hot flash?
what's in it?
I thought this was iced tea. It's vodka and iced tea. Sun
So it's
Cruiser.
hard iced tea.
That's why my face is red.
All right, but it's 5 o'clock
Okay.
someplace. It's okay.
That's all right.
Jay, why didn't you warn me?
Wouldn't be as much
Sun
fun.
Cruiser iced tea. It really is good. The raspberry flavored.
Can I see your ID?
You know, they asked me in South Carolina and down south. They do ask you not allowed to drink without ID,
Oh, wow.
even if you're as old as.
I
As
mean,
dirt.
to go there and feel young. I get offended if I go into a place and they ID one of my daughters. I'm like, what about me?
Right. What
I
about me?
look
Come
old.
on, throw me a bone, kid.
Right.
Come on.
Nothing's
do that.
worse. Wait, can I just? Nothing's worse than hearing you look really good for your age.
Yeah.
How offensive is that?
What about
And
when they
it's a
say thank
compliment.
you, ma'am? I say,
Ma'am.
excuse me,
I look
I'm not a
behind me.
ma'am.
You know who the first I'll never forget this as long as I live. One of my friends does security for celebrities, and we went. This was when the Jonas Brothers were really big, and they called me ma'am, and I looked behind me. I was
Never
like,
forgot.
Right, ma'am. Who, what?
it stabbed me in the heart, and I was like, guess they're talking to me.
Yeah.
Oh, it hurts.
I'd be a ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be me.
So what I did want to talk about was, remember we had discussed this at your house. When was the first time you even thought about menopause? Like, when was the first time, how old were you when you were like, something's going on with my mom, or something's not right, or menopause is, what did menopause mean to you before us?
I think my father said something to me privately in a private conversation at some point in time when I was probably in my late 20s about, your mom's going through menopause. It was almost like he literally said it, like whispered
Like
it.
a dirty word.
And
He took
didn't-
you in a back corner
yeah,
and whispered
like
in
it
your
really
ear.
didn't register. And then from that time forward, it wasn't until I was 47, so 10 years ago, when I had a partial hysterectomy, and the doctor said, we're just going to prepare you that you're probably going to go right into menopausal symptoms, excuse me. And I said, like, what's that? Because I really didn't know.
Right.
What will
So,
that feel
yeah.
like?
Yeah.
What about
The
you?
big unknown.
For me, I mean, I had endometriosis from the time I had my period, which I got very young. And I struggled with a lot of symptoms. I was the gynecologist all the time, whether it was for scar tissue removal, laparoscopies, laparotomies. I had in vitros when I was trying to conceive my first, which thankfully after 3 we had at first. And then when she was 8 months old, surprise, I had my beautiful second. And so I always struggled with hormone-related issues. So I really did educate myself. And during the process of in vitro, they put you through a whole protocol. So part of the protocol is where they shut down your own hormones so they can take control and create what they need to, the environment for the baby. So part of it was Lupron, which puts you in chemically induced menopause.
What is that?
Lupron and Depo-Provera.
Okay.
They call it like chemical castration. It shuts down your hormones, so it feels like menopause. So that was, so I had my daughter in 2000. So that was, probably 3 years before that. So I knew a lot about it, what it would feel like.
Right.
And I had been on, because of the endometriosis, I had done a few rounds of Lupron. So I had little bouts of the experiences of what menopause might feel like. When I went into menopause, I barely felt it. So I listened to my friends and I hear all these things and I say, wow, that's awful. I was praying for menopause, because I have these huge fibroids, which are really common and estrogen fed. So they say you become less symptomatic and they shrink when the estrogen depletes. So I had a long history with, all of these things. So I knew what to expect and I knew how it would feel. And, for me, it was more the aesthetic changes, and which is weird because that's my industry, but, who thought about it that way? It was more of my skin changed, my hair changed, not to mention the other physical things that
The
we
way
go
you put your
through.
makeup on changes.
Everything.
So the
Everything
results,
changes.
the results of how, you can have a makeup routine and all of a sudden you're like, why does my makeup not look right?
Right.
I didn't change my product lines.
Right.
It's your skin.
And
you
that's
know
why
what?
my mother is very conscious of that, because she's, a hairdresser and she's a stylist and a makeup artist. But she'll say to me sometimes, she'll be like, come into the bathroom, you need to blot. Or like she's very conscious of if I put too much cream on my face or whatever. And it really does change, but that portion, like losing some of my hair and my skin change, and my the thickness of my waist put me into, I would say, a fucking depression for at least 6 months before I figured out what I
it
could
was.
do.
Yeah, what was
what I
really
could do.
going
I was
on. Yeah.
really sad because I felt I always was energetic and always like, I'm going to do this today. I'm the type of person that if I'm sad or if I'm exhausted and I look around my house and I see that dish over there that needs to be put away and this, I go crazy because I can't have dishes in the sink overnight. That can't happen. So I have to literally talk myself off the ledge and say, put your sword down. This stuff really doesn't matter. And until you put your sword down and stop being that crazy bitch and just say, does that really matter? Like, come on.
Oh,
But
look,
let me ask you, do you really do that or it still bothers you? You still want to take care of it. Like you
It
can't
still
change who
fucking
you
bothers
are,
me. And listen,
right?
I can
The
put my
menopause
sword down
tries
and
to
not
change
yell at you,
but you're not.
and
you're
not
really gonna
ask you,
change.
could you please, I'm not asking you guys to clean up. I'm
just
asking you not
maintain
to
it. Yeah. Maintain
It's
what I
the
do.
irritability.
It's the irritability.
That's what it is. So for me, the symptoms that I didn't experience, maybe the hot flashes, the lack of energy,
The lack of
being
energy, it's
irritable,
terrible.
having
I
no
hate
patience,
that.
the
By
brain
Sunday
fog.
night, if you've had a nice weekend and you've been busy Sunday night and you're like 6 o'clock and you just want to like take
Done.
another shower, relax,
Done.
and you have
Yes.
things to do, you get irritable and the grouch comes out.
Yeah.
And you have
I don't want to be grouchy anymore.
It
I want to be
happens.
nice Ingrid again.
Yeah.
You know what I want to be? Vacation Ingrid. She's so much fun.
away from the world.
She is so much fun. No phone.
Yeah.
Couple of cocktails on the beach. That's
Right.
what I want to be.
sit in the sun.
Don't we all?
Yeah, don't we all? But I'll tell you, the other day I went home and my son is constantly having protein shakes, but he leaves the mixing blender thing all over the house. The amount of rage is not normal that I go through when I
Well,
see that,
that's-
because you know what I see? I see fuck you.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
yeah.
I see fuck you when I see that shake thing.
And he's so not like that.
No, he's
Yeah.
the sweetest thing.
Yeah.
It's just, I
You
don't
need
know.
to get out the black garbage bag. So the black garbage bag comes out when there's stuff all over the house. It's not the way that you left the house. It's the way the kids make it. And they just have to see you just take it out. And they know that if it's going in the black
everybody
garbage bag,
trained.
it's going to be out at the curb.
Right.
But that's your fault, not mine.
I know, I love that.
And it works. You'll see.
I love that.
Simple, easy.
You're a picker-upper.
Oh, yeah.
I was
Yeah.
at her place today, and everything I put down, it's like my mother's house. Everything is
You
going
can eat
away,
off the
and I
floor
love that.
at Dana's house, at Dana's
But
school.
it's almost like she's a spider because she's almost like this.
well, you don't see it leave.
You don't
put
see it
something
leave.
down, you don't see it leave.
I
but
was
it's
like
gone.
3 times. I was like,
disappears.
"Where's my bag? Where's
Yeah.
my coat? Where's
And she's
where's
quick.
my fucking
She's quick.
bag?"
She's
I call
quick.
it the clean sweep. Yeah.
Clean sweep. Yeah,
she's
I like
quick.
that. That is
Yeah.
so much fun.
Yeah. But that irritability, I mean, that affects the whole house.
That's the thing.
And
It does
it's-
affect the whole
and
house, and it
sucks.
doesn't have to.
Yeah.
And it sucks, right?
There's like
Because-
a name for it on TikTok. They call it like when a mom's like, and they do all these all the posts about the mom running around. It's really a guy and he's dressed up like a mom in a house coat. And they call it like rage cleaning or like, it's hysterical. And then you look at it and you go, oh my God, like I think that's been me a few times. Yeah.
They have that Keanu Reeves walking out. It's like when you're about to rave clean and ruin everyone's day. That's me.
It's not even though for me about the cleaning. It's like the lack of patience. Mike, I have adult kids. They're still home and I'm so happy because they won't be there for long,
Right.
And at the end of the day, I'm so tired and drained. And I've always been full of energy and I'm ready to go. Now the sun goes down early. I want to be in my cozy pajamas watching Netflix. And then my kids come home. And I want to have energy and I want to go and sit and have dinner with them.
That's the thing I want to do. We want to watch a movie and then I'm like out. I'm out.
Yeah, done.
Pass out.
Done. And that is so classic because menopause, what does it mean? We're getting older. Yeah. Right? And nobody wants to hear it. We don't have to look older. We don't have to behave older. And that's what we're here to talk about and try and help. But time waits for no one. So that does suck. And we are getting older. We're trying to, the girlfriend's guide to menopause and learning how to, we want the workarounds. What are the workarounds?
That's what we want to try and give, like the little tips and tricks.
Yes.
Like for instance, when I went to the hair salon and I know that my hair is falling out, I just put in a weave. What is it called? What did I put in? A weft. I'm sorry, a weft. But I joke around that it's my weave.
Seamless weft.
It's a seamless weft, and it has changed my life.
So I just put in, Dana, what are they called? Because Dana told me what to do.
Dana, what do we have?
The beaded extensions.
The beaded extensions.
Right.
And can I say thank you, Lauren? Thank you. I love them. It's made my life so much
Did she
easier.
go where I went?
No.
What happened?
You went to Jen at Parlor on Park.
I went to Jen
Montauk,
at Parlor on Park.
The Angel.
And I went to Lauren at Lux City Extensions. I love it. And I went with, and for those maybe who are,
Wait, can we talk about, just before you do that, the difference between a machine weft and a hand, what is it? A hand-tied. A hand-tied weft, because I got the machine weft at first, and then the itch.
So the machine weft,
ever get a machine
where
weft.
it's attached, where they attach it and they sew it in, has a very thick seam.
It's like a mustache.
Yeah, picture a pair of jeans, the hems at the bottom of the jeans. Some of them are really smooth, and then you could have a hem that's really wide. You could feel it's bulky. That's the difference. So the seamless, everything now is seamless. You almost don't feel where it, like if you took the weft where it marries your hair,
you don't feel it.
You don't feel it. There's no ledge. There's no bump, right? So it's so natural, so light. And those are really the way to go. And that's what you have now.
Right, because then it doesn't break your hair, too.
Right. The weight is not good for the hair shaft,
Right.
It could be damaging.
So we can do a whole segment on that.
Oh, yeah, on hair.
We can show you guys the different wefts and
Yeah.
how it makes a
People do wanna
difference.
know.
Because you know what? I look at men that lose their hair, and I'm like, Jay, or my husband, or
Never
anybody.
my husband.
And
He'll never
that's-
lose his hair.
It's devastating when you lose your hair. Maybe to guys it's not, they don't give a shit, but for us it's really devastating.
And there are natural things you could do too. So there's a big trend on TikTok where you could take rosemary, fresh rosemary, you boil it, you make a tea out of it. But in order to get the benefit of it, you have to spray it into your hair twice a day. It does work. But who's spraying their hair twice a day with a wet liquid? Right. I mean, it works. Guys could do it because, 1, 2, 3. But one of the girls in my office did it, and her hair really started to grow back. It's thick, Anna Marie. And not that she lost her hair. She just wanted fuller hair.
So do you spray it and then rub it into your scalp?
Yeah, you keep it on your scalp. You have to actually get it on the scalp so it's wet.
I thought you're supposed to use rosemary oil.
Not for scalp, not that I'm aware of.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So then
I have rosemary
jump
on my kitchen table, fresh from Southold. I'm going to go and spray my shit.
Big
with
thing
some
of rosemary that lives through everything. By the way, rosemary lives through everything.
It never dies.
It's been there for I think it's dead in the winter, and then there it is.
Yeah.
So PRP again, so we come from different. For me, in working around in the plastic surgery arena, PRP can be really good for hair regrowth.
But certain parts of the head, like for men, it doesn't help with a receding hairline, but it does help if there's hair loss in what's this area, the back of the crown.
So for women,
what do you call it?
We're seeing a lot more thickness
Yeah.
everywhere with PRP.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't had
So
it. I'm
tell
lucky
me
I
what
have a lot of hair.
PRP is. They take your own blood, and then
Platelet-rich plasma.
Right.
and then they mix
They
it.
spin it.
They spin it.
And
They're
then
drawing
inject it.
Yep.
inject it back into your scalp?
So what they're doing is they're drawing your blood, they're putting it into a centrifuge, and they are pulling out only the good stuff. The platelet-rich plasma becomes a serum, and then they inject it into the area. Some are doing it in the skin.
And how much is that?
I think it varies. It's not
expensive. It's not cheap.
inexpensive.
And then how often do you have to do it?
Well, that's the thing.
I'm going to
Once-
stick with the rosemary.
Once you get the results, you have to continue to do it.
Yes.
There's maintenance. So you basically have to, if you stop doing it, you're going to stop seeing
But
results.
that's everything.
And the results
right.
are
That's
not
everything.
always dramatic. They might be somewhat visible.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So not that you're going to, like all of a sudden have this thick, full head of hair. It's
Yeah,
going
it
to,
takes
then why
time.
wouldn't everybody do that?
Yeah.
It takes time. And I'm going to, again, the aesthetic consultant in me is going to jump out. Go, if this is something someone's considering, you want to go to a doctor's office, you want to go to preferably a board certified, plastic surgery practice, because they're
Dermatologist.
drawing your blood.
Where do they do that on Long Island?
Oh,
most
I
do.
mean,
most
Most
good derm
dermatologists
offices
do it?
not every derm, but most plastics do. A lot of derms, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it can be done in a
Can you
doctor's
recommend
office.
any couple of places on Long Island?
I mean, I'm in Greenberg Cosmetic Surgery. They do it all day long.
Oh,
They do a
really?
great job. Yeah.
I'd love to see some before and afters.
Yeah. We can do a segment on that.
Yes.
Yeah. But I
would
do
love
think we
to.
should, before we really trail off, I do think we should finish up the hair extension piece, because
Right.
when I posted about my hair, because I got what Dana said, and there is a difference. I got so many DMs asking, because of course, I posted the process. I did the individuals and my hair isn't thinning, but it's growing a lot more slowly.
Right.
And it's more brittle. And then I started getting gray right here finally, and I had this cowlick right here it had no life. And so I cut bangs. That was the first thing I did. And then I
You
said,
look so pretty.
thank you.
You look
Thank
so. I
you.
mean, you always look pretty, but that looks
Yeah,
really,
thank you.
really pretty.
Thank you. I'm happy. I'm really happy. Again, give credit to, Lauren, Luck City. Thank you, Lauren. It's actually made my getting ready in the morning easier, because now I'm blowing out my bangs, I'm blowing out this piece, and I'm kind of air drying this.
Yeah.
Throw a couple curls, I'm ready to go. So the reason I opted for the individuals with the bead is because I like the color of my hair.
Right.
Is I want the dark and the light, and I feel like it's much more
Keeps
natural.
your natural
looking.
hair healthier, because you could add the dimension, do the color without using the chemicals.
And
So-
the color blend. Look
Yeah.
at the color blend.
Yeah, it looks really.
So
pretty.
instead of getting like highlights and lowlights, because when I don't have this, I'm going for color
Right.
more often, which is breaking my hair that's already changing a little bit as I get older.
Right.
So this is actually helping.
It is healthier.
Right. So, anyway, so beads as opposed to weft, and then K-tips.
So the
What's
K-tips
that?
keratin tips are actually made out of a glue. So you have to use heat to bond them to the natural hair. They are not as...
Wait, is this a form of extension?
It
you
is,
guys?
it
See,
is.
this is the problem with these two. They have a language that's like a different language. So
But
I
you know
need to
what?
ask the question.
Right, and you know what? It's great that you're asking the questions, and she can tell you everything about this. Like, I love to talk skin and anti-aging and
Right.
technology. Dana knows, about a million things, but when it comes to this, she really can share. People want to know.
Right. So wait, what is
So
a
I had
K-tip?
the K-tips for almost 20 years for volume.
Okay.
So it's actually heat bonded to, they isolate some strands of hair. And I felt like my hair was, healthy, but it wasn't growing the way I wanted to. This is not when I started, it's 20 years later.
Right.
So I decided to go to the beads. So once the bead is put in, the only thing that they do is 4 weeks later, they open it up and then they slide it up and there's regrowth. And I have usually about at least an inch of regrowth, an inch and a quarter. So this November, actually next week, will be 1 year since I started with the beads. I took all the keratin bonds out, the heat glued bonds.
Okay.
And I went from a full head of extensions down to I have 10 in the back and I have about 8 on either side. My hair has grown. My hair has naturally grown back in 1 year.
wow.
So a lot of it has to do with what you do in your hair that causes the issues and the problems. We talked this morning. I don't own a flat iron. I will never touch my hair with a flat iron because my hair is thin. It's wavy. It's a little curly in some areas. So it's a little fragile. Not the best type of hair structure to flat iron every day.
Right. Right. I couldn't do that either.
And color, putting color in and stripping and constantly highlighting, it doesn't maintain the integrity of the strands of the hair. the hair gets deconstructed. So you have to be really aware of what's going to work and what's healthy and what's going to help your hair grow.
Yeah, because I have to dye my hair every 2 weeks,
Right.
like clockwork, because my whole head is white,
But
completely white
in-
since I'm 25 years old.
Okay.
But putting in color is so different than bleaching.
Oh,
when you're
right.
blonde, you're
depositing,
stripping
it's healthy,
out.
yeah.
Right. And so your hair, dark, will look shiny and healthy
Yeah.
with color. For me, and sometimes secretly, not going to lie, a little bit bleach up here, you get the volume because the hair's kind of dead, right? You're stripping out the pigment in the hair. So it is a little more dry, but it gives you a little more hair's
Yeah,
probably
natural
standing up
hair is
straight.
flatter hair. Colored hair is hair with body.
Right.
Because you're changing the structure of the hair strand, so it gets a little bit fuller.
Okay.
But now with my different my
With your
beads, with my beads, my weave. So now I have the darker pieces. Like we strategically, she did the
place
whole
them.
head and she
That
put
looks great.
a mix. But then we waited till the end and she said, okay, so here are some of the dark pieces.
Right.
Let's see where we like them.
Yeah. Right.
Because when you put the dark pieces up front near the light pieces, even if they're not completely bleached white, they look lighter. They pop.
Right.
So less bleach. So
Right.
less bleach, healthier hair.
Right.
And I was completely anti-extension up until recently. I would always say, Dana, your hair looks beautiful, but I could never, it would bother me and I would feel it and I wouldn't sleep. Not the case at all.
Yeah,
And it's
no.
so much easier.
And there's a cost savings with
I
the
have
beads.
to see those before we leave.
So Ingrid, with the beads, what
This
happens
camera,
too
can
is
we
once
zoom
you
in? Look at that. They're little tiny baby bonds. I love them.
you don't feel them, you don't sleep.
Maybe
in.
I should try that.
So what happens is also you buy the hair, they install the beads, and you own them. Like you don't have to with the keratin bonds. Once you go back after 6 or 8 weeks, they take them out. They go
And
in the
they're
garbage,
gone.
and you have to replace them. So there's a bigger cost associated
Okay.
with the keratin bonds.
Is there more maintenance?
I would think so. Yeah, from what I remember, yeah, this
You
is
know
so
what
much
hasn't
easier.
happened to me yet that I'm wondering about? So like it's just starting to grow and I can feel them and that's fine. When they grow out, before I move them up, my finger is going to like get caught underneath them because that
If
happens
it does,
to
that
me.
means you let them grow out too far.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's when
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I'd say go every 4 weeks, like really stay on top of it, and you will see the best results. If you try to push it out 6, 8 weeks, that's
Yeah.
when you're going to get the snapping, because you get
and
all
you get
the lame.
like matty,
Yeah.
like, ooh,
Yeah.
I
No,
gotta
no,
be shot.
I'll be
You
there.
don't want that.
I'll be there, Lauren. I'm coming. Get ready.
But our hairdressers can tell you, they're great guests to have on this podcast. They could tell you when they see the change in somebody's hair, you know, and they know the hair becomes more brittle. It's not growing as quickly. Even sometimes the color doesn't take as well.
Right.
You know, you have problems with formulation. So it's a very delicate subject. And I think that the more the hairdressers know about menopause, because the majority of women that are getting their hair services done on a regular basis are our age,
Right.
because we're working, you know, different discretionary money, you know, than somebody
Right.
who's younger, right?
Right.
So I think that a hairdresser could give really great insight too.
Yeah.
I think we need our experts. I think as we get to this stage of life, at each stage, we need our experts. What's relevant for us right now at this time in our
and
lives?
also
What are
what's
we going
important to
through?
you. Some people, it's not important to.
Right.
And
You know,
that's fine.
I mean,
And
I'll
that's-
see some people from high school that look amazing, but they don't give a shit about Botox, their hair, they're gray, and they're
And you say
happy
they're
and
the same age as
beautiful,
me?
happy
Yeah.
and beautiful, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I look at my older aunts from Bensonhurst, and they're like still gorgeous because they're so beautiful on the inside. That I just look at them and I love to look at them because they're beautiful and they don't give a shit about
Yeah,
that. And
yeah.
that's kind of
There's
freeing
beauty in
too.
that.
There's
There
another
is, yeah.
side
Yeah.
And all
of
of
this
it's
whole
okay.
menopause that is
Right.
okay. You almost feel freeing. Like a lot of times, I remember when I would go out to dinner, I would be in the bathroom, you know, reapplying 2 or 3, 4 times. Now I don't even, I reapply my lips. I don't even go to the bathroom sometimes. Unless I'm drinking and then I reapply
Well,
too
of course,
much.
I have permanent lip liner, so that's really helpful.
Do I want that?
Do.
I want everything that you have. I
You
want
know,
it.
and you too can have it. Yeah. Listen, my first gig in this industry was permanent makeup. Permanent eyebrows, eyeliner,
I
little
want my
lip liner.
eyebrows make such a difference.
They
I
do.
really
They
We
change your
lose
whole
them.
face.
They thin out. Another joy of menopause.
Yeah.
And look, this is my personal preference. We like, when I say we, within my practice and my opinion in the industry, a natural hair stroke, maybe a little micro shading, which is done with a medical micropigment machine, not a microblade.
What
and a
she
lot
said.
of people,
What she said is right.
a lot of people will argue that and say that they like their microblades and they may not know the difference, and that's another segment.
I don't even know the difference.
I
See,
I feel like
this
that,
is
that was
crazy.
a trend, and I feel like it's
Microblading,
definitely
but didn't it turn
quieted
like
down.
blue? Like some people,
it
it
could
looks
if
But that
like
has nothing to do, well, it has a little bit to do with
It
the
has
tool.
to do with skin.
It has to do with the skin tone. It has to
Right.
do with color theory. It has
Right.
to do with taking the right class like Dana gives, because there are, and now I'm going to run off on a tangent for a second. I have to.
just a second.
Because
Go.
just a
Here she
second.
goes. I know what she's going to say.
Because you could, 30 years, when we started, we were seeing areola repigmentation post-mastectomy, women who had lost their brows because of chemo or an autoimmune condition or menopause, a medical reason.
Right.
Then microblading hit the industry like a storm, and people were learning online on the street corner. They were taking these little micro blades. Let's stop for a minute. Micro small blade, scalpel, little baby
Blade to your face.
blade to your face,
Oh, that's
cutting.
so
The
scary.
state education department views it in their purview as you're scoring the skin. You're scoring the skin above somebody's eyebrow. It's almost a medical procedure.
You are incising the skin
Right.
and then rubbing the ink in.
Right.
Now let's talk about that, because if you don't learn this the right way, and if you don't go to a venue like Dana has, and she put it out there and made sure that she had the right amount of hours, because
Right.
this is not a 4-hour course, right? And there is a cost
And
associated.
Sharon, to your point, it also goes, microneedling is like a hot thing, right? If you have to go to someone who's well trained, if you're going because you're seeing the larger pores, which happens with menopause, you can't, just because somebody says that they do it, it doesn't mean that they know what they're doing.
Right.
You know, all of these services, the permanent makeup, the skincare services, different laser services, right? Like, you've got to be in the hands of someone who is the authority on
Right.
what they're doing. Agreed?
Absolutely. I always say, so here's
And that's
the,
why so many people come to you.
well,
I mean,
I'm
100%.
doing
if
it
you
on-
need
is.
anything, it is
She's got the answer.
incredibly amazing the amount of knowledge that you have and the
Thank you.
connections to get you not only what you need, the appointment and a
Right.
good price, and like
Right.
if I can't
That should
do
be
it
your
for
job.
you,
She's the connector.
if I can't do it for you, I can certainly refer you to someone reputable who can.
Right.
When I started my practice 30 years ago, I have always been in-house with doctors. We have 2 incredible board-certified dermatologists right there with us. Anything that breaks the skin, besides permanent makeup, which falls under our tattoo license, anything we do will not draw blood. It is non-invasive. We are not, anytime you're compromising the integrity of the dermis, like you are doing with a microblade, you can introduce infection, right? You're drawing blood, bloodborne pathogens. Microblading, to not go, because this is a whole, Dana
It's a
and I,
whole
we're
nother
very passionate, and we can go
Big
really.
podcast.
Oh, yeah. Microblading in and of itself is, pigment will not hold if you don't pierce the reticular layer of tissue. They call it the sweet spot when we teach. And it draws blood. That's how you know you've hit the sweet spot and it's going to hold. Okay. Which also means if you're using a dirty tool, you can give someone everything from, an HIV. I mean,
that's kind of scary.
In addition, if you don't know color theory, right? If somebody has, so you're a red skin, you are an olive skin.
Yeah.
If you use the wrong color,
I'm only red now because of the vodka drink.
but your undertone is
Yeah.
warm where you're cool. Dana actually has a mixed, but that's another, so a mixed undertone, more of a neutral. But people were coming to me after microblading with blue eyebrows. Why?
Yeah,
Because
that's what
I know
think
that's
of.
what you meant.
Yeah.
because they'd see a girl with dark hair. Oh, look at the bottle. It matches her hair. Let's use black.
Right.
Black's not a color on the color wheel.
Right.
So when it dries down, you end up with the base of that color, which is green or blue, and some of that can't be corrected.
Right.
You know, so these and
that's scary. And then you see someone that's so beautiful with blue eyebrows, and you're like,
Yeah.
and you can't
Or one
good,
eyebrow
no
because it wasn't
good.
done
Wasn't
correctly.
held-
So
Yeah.
the brow mapping piece, you know, face analysis,
Yeah.
face shape analysis is a big part
I
of
stick
it.
with my stencils from Amazon.
listen. You can have a little. So back to
You know what?
menopause.
You know what I think I am? My purpose here? I'm the budget of you two. I'm the
balance
budget version.
us.
I am the budget version.
So you trying to say that we separate people from their money?
I love that.
That's what you just said.
I am the budget version in this group. 1, 2,
But it doesn't
3.
have to be. Listen, everything doesn't have to be crazy expensive.
No.
You know, just because somebody is well
Has to be
qualified
quality.
does not
Yeah.
mean
Yeah.
not every provider out there is that expensive that
Right.
people look at it. People call me and they say, "What do you charge for this?" And I always quote a price on the phone because you know what? If you can't afford a service, I'm not trying to drag you into my office so I can
Right.
give you a hard sell and make you feel uncomfortable.
Right.
But there are many times that I quote the price. They go, "Oh, really? Wow, I can afford that."
Right.
You know, people think automatically things are expensive because we're in house with doctors. That's where you should be if you're you know cutting
But
into someone's
also,
face.
you know, I'm going to say something, and I don't, just hear me out. When I look at you and I think about going to your office, I think I'm spending a shitload of money. That's just, I'm being honest.
Yeah,
Because of
and
the
I'm-
way you look and the way you present yourself, you've been in the business for 30 years. I just think that. But you are a wealth of knowledge at reasonable prices, sometimes better than where you're going to go and the girl just got out of, you know,
Right. Yeah. Somebody who doesn't have that.
and that's what people don't
experience.
understand about you.
Yeah.
So that's really important to know.
Thank you for saying that. I truly try to take the opportunity to bring people in that I can give them, do the right job for someone rather than, and give them a discount if I can.
But
rather
they're paying for your experience.
Right.
and yes,
You know, like,
and it has a tremendous value.
Yeah,
it
it
does.
does have a
It does. In
tremendous
all
value.
fairness.
There's-
In all
Because
fairness,
when
it
people
does.
are nervous about getting a procedure or thinking even about, some of my friends were even nervous about getting Botox, which is like getting your hair dyed at this point.
Well,
as far
for
as
us,
I'm
though,
concerned.
for us, because we're familiar with it.
Right, but other
Yeah,
people that
but
aren't.
somebody
but
is
you
still injecting-
I'll never forget the first time we spoke on the phone because I wanted to get a skin procedure done. When I got off the phone with you, I said to myself, there would be no one else that I would
right,
ever
you would
go
go
to.
to.
Thank
Right.
you.
With what she just explained to me for 45 minutes
Right.
until I felt
Comfortable.
so comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, people should want to know. You're investing in, whether it's a little bit of money or a lot of money, you're investing in something that is intended to enhance your appearance, change the way you look, in some cases be a permanent change like an eyebrow tattoo. And there are people that struggle with that for years before they have the nerve to go.
Right.
So for me, I will give you as much time as I possibly can. And even if you don't choose to have a service with me, that's okay.
Right.
If you're going to go out there and maybe, you know, go for that less expensive price, because there are people that are less expensive.
Right.
It kills me when people go on Groupon. I want to die for that.
That's but as long as I have given you enough time to educate you, for those who want to learn, the differences in certain services and the safety of certain services, I feel good about it.
Right.
I feel like this industry has been so good to me over all of the years that
And you don't injure people. You know, you have to stop and ask yourself, like, price can be associated with injury.
Right.
It's your face.
Right.
And someone's training should really be important to you. You know, like if you take the time to have a half-hour conversation, you should be able to get it right away. You said you felt so comfortable. You know somebody's rushing you off the phone, but they're saying this is the service and that's it.
And you know when they don't know what they're talking
Right, they don't
about.
know and they have nothing to offer you. Like, would you put yourself in that position? So
what about booking online?
Yeah.
What about all these services? Just go to my website and book online.
This is what I joke around as a
Absolutely
publicist
not.
and a marketing person.
Yeah.
My first thing to Sharon was, there's no way for you to book online. She's
Yeah.
like, absolutely not. I want to speak
to everyone.
every single person. That's what I do. It's my specialty. And I will not. And I'm
Can't.
like, and I kept on saying, but.
There's
And
no
she's like,
but.
no.
When it comes to safety
Which I love.
and
I
integrity,
like
there's
that.
no
Yeah,
but.
she's-
I had a girl, a
Those are
young
her
girl,
values.
in my chair that had booked out time for eyebrows. And I asked her all the questions on the phone before she came in. And I always ask them again right before, just in case someone forgot or something changed between the conversation and the appointment. And I will never forget, she said, and we're just about to get started. She said, "Oh, wait, does it matter if I'm on Accutane?"
Oh my God.
Thank you, God, that I happen to be where I am, and we have Dr. Greenberg in the next room.
Yeah.
You know, hey, if someone's an Accutane, because she didn't, my word wasn't enough because she was excited,
Right.
which is probably why she didn't tell me initially.
Right.
And I said, whatever her name was, "You're not going to heal." "Oh, no, I think I'm going to heal. I'll sign a consent. I don't care." And I said,
And the
"Excuse me,
possibility of infection,
she's not going to
serious
heal.
infection.
It knocks out
yeah.
the sebaceous glands. You're not
Yeah,
healing,
Very dangerous.
which will affect the color as well, which is, another conversation. So, but I was able to say, "Excuse me, doctor, can you?" And he explained to her.
Right.
And she said, "Okay, thank you." And then she came back 6 months after she was off Accutane. You have to ask the questions. You have to keep people safe.
Yeah.
A quick dollar is not worth hurting somebody.
Yeah.
Definitely
You're
not.
so cute. That's why we love
I'm not that cute. I just like you. No, but I do feel really passionate about that. And, and I was a student in Dana's school many, many years ago. So you talk about,
I mean, it is another conversation, but licensing standards, so license and credential standards are very, very important to, of course, healthcare. You wouldn't go to a doctor who wasn't licensed. Would you go to a dentist who wasn't licensed?
No.
Why would you go have a procedure done to your skin, your face, by somebody who doesn't have the right training?
Right, to your face, no less.
Do you
My
ask
God.
to see if they're, so New York State law says their license should be visible
licenses are right out.
right there in the treatment area or at the front where you're checking in. You should be able to see that there's a New York State appearance enhancement license for the person and for the business. So not only is it an individual license that the practitioner owns, but the business, the brick and mortar, should have one as well.
Right.
So that
That's
you're at
interesting.
least starting off in the right place.
Absolutely.
Right, so next
Absolutely.
time we are going to have a specialist on.
Great.
We're going to think about it.
Yep.
And we know that we've gotten so many different comments on who
Requests.
and what.
Well, let's
and
read
where.
the questions and the requests,
Yeah.
and we can choose based on what we get the most of, and we will
Yes.
find that perfect expert to talk about what people are most interested in hearing.
Yeah. Good.
All right, that's for next time. That's
Okay.
a wrap, girls.
Stay well.
Okay.
Bye-bye.